Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gents, or good morning, or wherever you are in the world. I'm UK, as most of you know. So I hope everyone is well. Tuesday, the 9th of May. Wow, aren't the months clocking fast? Another 3 weeks and we'll be in June already. Unbelievable, isn't it? So, what's going on today? So we've got no news today, so that's one thing we can forget about. Hopefully volume a little bit more today. Low volume yesterday, but we had bank holiday in the UK and probably a few other countries here and there, so there'll be less UK traders trading. So the volume was a little bit low, not a huge amount, but it was a pretty standard range day yesterday. Probably one of the we've had a few pushes up and down over the last few days, so pretty standard range day. So we got in so far this morning. Indy, how you doing, buddy? Ionis, good morning. Richard, good morning. Grandpa Roger, how you doing, Roger? So I don't know if most of you know that Apex have put 80% on again. I thought they would. I think that's going to be the new norm now. So as from today, well, as from midnight Eastern Standard Time last night, 80% off all evaluations and 80% off recurring months. So if you trade over a month and you get another payment, that'll be 80% off as well. Now, also, they've reduced the monthly payment, so you can now get paid as little as $500. Whereas before it was a minimum of $1,000, so they brought it down to $500 now, because if people, you might get the real careful people who want to build an account, but maybe just want a little bit of it. So they brought that down. Also as well, anytime you take an evaluation during this month, you'll be entered into a competition, and there is free accounts available. There's also one big package, which is 10 $100,000 PA accounts, all paid for and ready to trade. So whoever gets those is a lucky fella. That's a fair old saving, that $100,000 accounts. Lifetime payment, so what's that, about 150, 160, something like that. So that's a fair old chunk. So if you win that, that is a great starting point. 10 $100,000 accounts, PA accounts, all ready to go. So yeah, that'd be pretty nice. That would be. So there you go. So Ionis, SW Blaze, sorry, how you doing, buddy? Love the minute. Yeah, it's better for people, isn't it? If you want just a little bit, but not too much, it's better. There's no reason why they shouldn't do that, and it's good of them to do that. They do tend to just make Apex sort of better and better, in my opinion. Make things easier, because but I think the thing I like about Apex is you can message them and they do listen, and that's good for a business. That's a good foundation for any business, that listen to the customers. So that's pretty good. Hey Lance, yesterday you traded like a pro. Thank you. Not to rush. Opportunity presents you. Hammer it, banged it. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Onus. I appreciate that. That's a nice comment, and surprisingly enough, comments like that do make you feel good. So thanks for that. I appreciate that. Now, I've said this before, that perhaps I'm just finding my feet a bit. I don't know. I try not to say it anymore. I don't want to jinx myself, but I do find that. Hey, Speedy, how you doing? Richard Cook, did you see Mac's video yesterday? Great video going over the rules. Yeah, I did, mate. Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, I don't seem to get that stress doing evaluations anymore. I think I'm getting used to the evaluations. So now when I go back on, I'll be picking another PA count up tomorrow. I think when I trade the PA counts with a reduced contract to one size, hopefully that will bring my stress levels down and I can trade them more like I trade an evaluation, just seeing a trade going for it, and that was it. But what I did yesterday is, the trouble is, if I'm, say, taking a short here, I won't have a set plan in mind. I'll just try and squeeze as much as I can. And the trouble is, that's making my profits a little bit erratic. So I've just decided to go for a fixed profit depending on how much the market. I mean, if I took a short here and there's 5 points to the bottom, then I'll go for 4 points. If there's only sort of 2.5 points to the bottom, I'll go for 2 points. So my points will be somewhere between 2 and 4 points. Depends on how much the market's likely to move. But I'm basing that on Taylor, who works with Marco at Top Pick Trading. He tends to go for those figures, and I like the ability to take up to 4 points, but I think I need to decide on a set amount on a particular trade, because if we have one leg down here, we've had two legs back up, like a correction, and we're expecting a decent move, then I'll be going for more like the 4 points, and I'll leave the larger runs for when I manage to increase contract size later on down the line and maybe drop a runner in or something like that. So yeah, I watched some of it early hours this morning. The trouble is, in the UK, when he posts them, it's usually around about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. But I did watch bits of it. Yeah, he was talking about rules, wasn't he? I wish Matt could do more about that. Talk about maybe, you know, talk about something like the psychological side, or, you know, as opposed to just you know, making a video on the day. It's probably a bit early to do that, I think, but I know I'm capable of trading. It's just the emotional side that sort of gets the better of me sometimes. So if I can keep on top of that, hopefully things should improve. And I think by reducing my risk by half it makes sense, doesn't it? It should have a better or less of a stressful impact on my trading. It's weird how the psychological of trading, a PA value is different. Yeah. Well, I got to say, Bud, I remember sitting and doing an evaluation, and when I was in a trade, I felt like my neck was in a vice. I could not relax. Well, I don't feel like that now. So for me, that's progression. And obviously then you step up a notch, don't you, to a PA account. That's when you're actually building money. Because once you get those funds above $2,600, you can basically take them out. So really, you're sort of trading your own money as opposed to an evaluation. So it's just an extra notch of stress. But I've been so used to doing the 2 contracts, that sort of stress levels you get there. So hopefully reducing it to 1 should reduce, excuse me, the level of stress. So fingers crossed anyway, but I'm just trying to move forward, and the only way you can move forward really is just trying to put things in place and just trying to improve. So morning to you, Lilith. Morning. Okay, market is officially open. It's been open for a couple of minutes, but it's, I've got to say, same again, not a lot of volume. Even at the moment, it's still, I mean, the market's been open, what, 2.5, 3 minutes, and not a lot. I don't know what's going on. I don't think there's anything larger working there. It's possible. Yeah, maybe. Touch there, touched here, and a bunch of times. We seem to be following that line, but I'm going to take it away just at the moment because it might just be a range and we've had a break. So I don't want to be thinking about going short when this may push back in here. I don't know whether it will or not, but it's a bit of an odd looking morning, isn't it? Down a bit and another, but it just does seem a little bit odd, doesn't it? Let me just check. It's okay. I got 3 evaluations which had passed, and I just needed to do a quick micro on each, so I changed this over to MES, and I'm just checking it's where it is. So 623 2000 tick. Yeah, everything's right. Just look very low volume. I'm just wondering whether I accidentally put it onto an old contract, but no, maybe waiting for tomorrow's CPI report. Yeah, but I just, without it being a holiday, it's just unusual, but lots of small bars. I wonder if it's going to be one of those down days. So we've had this little bit of sideways. We had a good push up, didn't we? A little bit of sideways with a little bit of slowly downwards. So I wonder if we're going to get some downward stuff today. I wonder. So I think it's a little bit too early to think about trends at the moment, especially from up this high. So let's do something from here. Okay, that looks like something. So we've had a break out of it. So this is where you've got to be careful. I mean, normally you have a channel like that, you're thinking about going short and making the new lows, but it could just be the start of a range day, and this may just be a failed breakout, which it sort of did there. That seems to be the bottom, I think. It's touching on the body there, touch. So I think sometimes you need to leave it a little bit and let it sort itself out and work out what sort of direction it is, but at the moment it could be a bunch of things. Yeah. I think we'll have a strong sell-off today. Well, based on what I can see so far, I think you may be right. Let's see. Okay, so ooh, that to me, it's 2 pushes up, isn't it? It's not a standard second entry, but it's a visual second entry short, isn't it?
Order submitted.
Let's see how this finishes. I kind of like that for a couple of points. 2 pushes up. See how it finishes. No. Okay. Maybe this will push up a bit. So that's sort of a visual second entry. We've pushed up once. We've pushed up again, although it's not technically a second entry short. That would be first entry, second entry, but it has had 2 pushes. 1 push up, 2 push up. So I prefer this to push above there, really, but I kind of like this, seeing how it finishes. Go on, get above here. Push up. Okay, push up. Okay, there's our second entry, possible second entry short. Let's see what happens now. There may be some longs go above there as a higher low. So if it comes down and breaks below there, I kind of like this for a second entry short. It does seem a little bit congested, but there's probably going to be some longs there, which is triggered. So let's see how this finishes. If this finishes nice and bearish, I love where the candle is. I think it's worth the risk. Let's see how bearish it finishes. I like that. There's a big old bar though.
Order filled.
Okay. 2 points. I mean, it may come down some more. Let me have a look. I just don't want to be too greedy at the moment. 1 leg down, a correction. Could be in the leg down. I'm just going to go for 2 points. It's a little bit lower. There's not a massive amount of room to the lows, but that's really, it does seem quite bearish. So I think it's worth, I love the bar. It's a second entry short, beautifully finished. It's a little bit below the lows, but I'm going to go for the minimum 2 points. So hopefully should be okay. I like the bearish bar. We've had this channel down here. We've had a break. We've had 1 push up, 2 push up. It's clearly a second entry short. I'm not going to be too greedy. Although I do expect it to come down because it's very bearish. I don't think there's any. No. I like the bar. Got a clear little trend there. Clearly, first entry, second entry short, nice big bearish bar. We haven't made a new low yet. I expect to make a new low. Let's see, I'm just going to go for the minimum 2 points. I don't want to be too greedy. May come down here, but I'm just trying to pick bits rather than going for a large target. I am below the lows as it is by a couple of ticks anyway, but usually when it breaks the lows, it does break it by a few ticks anyway, 2 or 3 ticks anyway, so I should be okay. 2.75 point risk. I don't mind this triggering actually. That bar there, because that may give it a little bit more fuel when it goes below, because if that, there may be some some people who think that's sort of a bottoming pattern and may take that, so I don't mind that triggering. It's looking quite bearish, so I think we're okay. Like I say, I don't mind that triggering. I like where that's finished. I mean, bearish bars really don't look any better than that, sitting right under the EMA like that, finishing on the lows. Oh, that's not looking good.
Stop filled.
Okay, there we go. Perhaps it is a bottoming pattern. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. I thought it was okay actually. Let me see if I've missed anything. One push up. Okay, it was definitely a second entry. It didn't come down and make a new low. I expected it to, but there you go. Sometimes they don't work. I don't know what else I missed there. That to me was a channel. This push down, it's sort of working the top part of this. I like the bar, but I did mention there is a possibility that this is a range and it's going to push back in. So I was aware of that, but I thought that was bearish enough to take it down for a couple of points. So there you go. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I'm all right with that. So it didn't even make it to the bottoms. It was one tick off. So yeah, that's any downside that it was a possibility we were ranging, but it was a channel anyway. Maybe going back up to finish. Yeah, who knows? Excuse me just a sec. I'm just going to nip to the bathroom quickly. Okay. What's going on then? Okay, I thought that was okay. That I bet there'd be a few traders who got caught out on that. Okay, perhaps we are pushing back up. Who knows? Good trade, big engulfing bar, finished a little bit low. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I expected. I mean, if it made a new low by a couple of ticks, I'd have been okay there. But it was bearish enough to think, you know, because market's looking really bearish. A little bit of sideways, a push up. Anything I can think of is maybe it's a second. Well, even if it's a second leg, it hasn't got anywhere near there, is it? Got a channel down here, one push up to. I mean, it's clearly a second inch long, but yeah. Sometimes they'll work and they'll just tank down here, won't they? And easy make you money, and just now and again they just won't hit the bottoms. But there we go. Okay. Ooh. Push up, break. I expect a new high there. Trouble is, it's just a first entry, so it might trigger come down. So just sit and watch that one. So that one is a loss. I'll sort it out in a minute. Yeah, the trade was okay though. It was definitely a second entry short. It is where you would expect it to work, and it finished on its lows. But trouble is, it came down and then looked almost like a bottoming pattern. So the trouble is, because there's not much volume, it's hard to know exactly what the market's doing. Okay, I did look at that. I like the way it was sitting on that line, and it looks like it's going to make 2 points, but it was only a first entry, so if I'd have taken that and it had lost, I'd have been frustrated with myself. Although it did make 2 points, but that's besides the point, really. Let me have a look at this. That is a second entry short, but it's above the EMA and it's sat on that line, so that's just too risky. Are we going to make a low after this? Possibly, but we're actually back in that range and we're retesting this bottom, so it's too risky anyway, and it's quite a large, what is it, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's 3 point risk, that is. With a tick above and tick below, it's a 3.5 point risk, so it is a second entry short, but no. So yeah, in case anybody doesn't know, the 80% is back on right till the end of the month, so you've got a good run of it. As I mentioned before, I think the 80% is going to become a thing, is going to become the norm. They certainly have 80% more on than they have anything else at the moment, and they've just basically done it for the rest of the month. As I mentioned before, there's my code down there. If you use it or you have used it, it is much appreciated. Okay, let's see if this triggers. What I'd like is a push down and then a push up, in which case I'll go long because short-term trend channel, second entry long. It does look like it's testing this line. We've tested it once, twice. I kind of like this. It might go up too high,
Order
though.
submitted.
I kind of like that just to the top here. That's a second entry long. I'm almost certain there's going to be some shorts triggered. I mean, it may come down. I'm only going to take it if it's bullish, but I don't think it's going to come down. It's clearly bouncing off them. I mean, you could say it's tested it once, twice, 3 times. We have a wide downtrend. Oh, I'm not so sure. It doesn't look like a downtrend to me. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's possible, but I don't know until we've. It's hard to say, really. Okay, so that is a second entry long. I'm not a massive fan of the bar, though. Although I expect it to make a new high after this. So if you took that second entry short, it is triggered. I kind of like this just to back to the top. No, I'm going to leave that. I'm a little bit uncertain of that because there is a failure there, isn't there? See, that has triggered. There's a second entry long. There is a
Order
failure,
cancelled.
in fact.
Order submitted.
If it breaks below there, no, I'm not sure about this.
Order
it's a bit
cancelled.
congested for me. I'm going to leave this alone. Triangle one, triangle two. If this breaks below here, that's a failure. And there is a second entry long there, which is triggered. It's clearly congested, though. Trouble is, we may push higher to the tops of here because it seems to be, but there's the failure. So the failure's triggered. See, there's some traps there. If you took that long, it triggered you and stopped you out. Trouble is, if you took the failure, that might come up and take you out as well. So I'm leaving well alone. There's the failure, but it's all sitting above this EMA. It's all sitting on this line as well, so I just think it's risky taking that. If you took that, you triggered, you may well get stopped out. But there's a second entry long which triggered and stopped out. So there's a trap there. So if you took the failure, it's triggered. It isn't going to come out that far. So you just don't know. It's not going down in a hurry enough for me to think short at the moment. Yeah, I've given up drawing these bigger channels too early because they get you into trouble. The thing is, if you look at that, you'll be thinking taking shorts, and it might not be. It might be, I don't know, it could be something like this, or it could be, it's certainly sitting on an area there, isn't it? And it's not coming down in a hurry, which tells me it's ranging. It's clearly going sideways. This could just be a foul breakout. But the way we'd pushed down and we'd bounced a few times off this, I thought that was a cert, to be honest with you. Didn't even make 1 point that, I don't think. No, yeah, you wouldn't have got a point out of it. It does like it's working down, but the trouble is sometimes it'll do that and then off it'll go. We've had a push up here. We could be getting this and then another push up to the top. In fact, I would say it's more likely to come up than down, in my opinion. I mean, it could be something like this. In fact, I actually kind of like that. Touch, touch, body, body, touch. That's as good as anywhere, I think. In which case, we're in the middle, so it's even more dangerous to trade. Yeah, now I brought this down, I see why that didn't work. But it wasn't that easy at the time, see, because obviously we didn't come down and touch these areas. But That one I did, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, say all that congestion, it's only really those three at the top. Obviously, these dip down, but this looked like a channel to me, and it was a second entry short, beautiful bar. For me, that was coming down. I wouldn't call that a lot of congestion, really. That bar just goes up. It's only 3 bars that are there, but then you've got this big bearish bar. I mean, it's got to break at some point. I mean, even if you sort of draw those few there like that, we've clearly pushed down then, so you'd expect it to come down, but I'm guessing the reason it didn't is because it started to range, and that was the problem when I took it, that I knew there was a possibility that we could be in a range, but obviously at the time I had that drawn, was it about here somewhere? I think it was there, somewhere around about here. So we'd broken out the bottom and retested these tops. So obviously when you put it like that, it doesn't look terrible. In fact, I'll leave that there initially because that was my thoughts behind it. We're clearly working along here anyway, actually. So we pushed down and it was a second entry short, big bearish bar, so I thought that was coming right down, but obviously market's got other ideas. Yes, if you'd taken that failure, you're about to get stopped out. And after pushing up here, you would expect it to break and make a new high. And I said it's more likely to come up here. I think it is. Yeah, so if you took that failure, that just got stopped out. I expected it to come up here, sort of a leg, breaking a leg, which is why I didn't take that failure. Okay, leg, break, leg. See what we get here. Okay, pushed up, made that measured leg. Okay, kind of like that for a failed breakout, but I'd much prefer a lower high, really. We haven't really had a break out of this. It might come straight down, but I'd rather wait for a lower high. Okay, we've now had a break of it. If we get a lower high, then I don't mind taking that back to the EMA, because we're clearly in this area here. We've had a break out of it. We had that measured leg pushed up. There is a bearish bar there, but I'd rather take the lower high just to confirm we're more likely now coming back into it, at least to the EMA. I don't think we've got any type of a channel there. I think that's too early. Okay, I did look at that one, but trouble is it's a little bit poking out the top there. There's nothing else there, so there is a possibility it could tick back and push up and it turn into an uptrend. So I wanted to give it a lower high. I mean, you can call that a lower high. I think it doesn't necessarily have to. I prefer it to be a little bit, maybe one tick higher, but it's just the fact that it's sat on the top of there. So you don't know whether it's going to retest that and then maybe push a bit higher. But ooh. See, that's what I thought was possible. Maybe we're working way back up to these highs. Touched here, sat on here. So I don't know. It might go up or it might come down. It's just hard to say at the moment. Hmm. You could call that a. See if this comes down. I just want to get. I want to get trap going short before I make a decision, or at least have one push up. So this might come down. It might push up. It's hard to say. Hello there, market all over the place today. You're not wrong, Sam. So we've had this short-term trend channel. We've had a break. I'd expect a new low. So whether it is going to come down or whether it's going to, I don't know, push up. No idea. We've popped out at the top of this range anyway, and we've come back in and bounced off that centre line. So whether we're going to push higher or not, I don't know. Could be a leg and another leg, see. It's not very big a range. It's only really moving in about 5 points, I think. So I've got to be careful what I do here. Not much volume at all, really. Okay, we got 2 legs down there, bullish bar there. It's almost bounced off there by the tick.
Order submitted.
Okay, that measured leg's definitely played out. It is second entry long there. If that finished nice and bullish up here, I'd be inclined to take that. Depending on where you think the bottom is. Obviously it hasn't, so I'd say maybe this is the new bottom. The overall trend is down. Not necessarily. I mean, we've had this push down, but after this, we're going sideways. So at the moment, I got to treat it as a range. I can't be thinking necessarily short at the moment. Now, if we break, retest, and start working down, I'd agree. But
Order canceled. yeah, I think it's just too early to start drawing channels like that. I mean, it may be the case, but it's just a bit early. I mean, normally you go from the first swing to there, in which case would be about there. I mean, it may be the case, and we've had a break in it. I don't know, but
It's just too early. I just find it's much better to leave those alone and just treat it what I see at the moment. Clearly just ranging at the moment. So whether it does continue down or not, I don't know. It may continue up, may push back up. It's hard to say at the moment, but excuse me, just someone, I've just got to sign for something at the door. Excuse me a second. Okay. Oh dear. Okay, we got a channel down there. Possible second entry short. If this comes down bearish, that may be of interest. Just to the lows. We had this channel down, one leg, two legs up.
Order submitted.
I mean, it could push back up here, I don't know. But the thing is, we've had this little breakout at the top, and a lot of the cases where you have a breakout at the top, you have something the same at the bottom. Now, it's still not too late for this to come bearish. Yeah, a lot of times where you have something like that at the top, you'll have something just to sort of compensate. Now, we haven't come down to these lows yet, see, so... No, might be sucking some shorts in only to push higher. Relatively bearish, but it's no good where it is really. It's sitting on top. I wouldn't be shocked if that triggers and pushes up.
Order cancelled.
Interesting. There's a failure there. I might take that one if it pushes up, because there's probably going to be some shorts there. It may come down, but I'm not so sure. Let's get a bowler ready.
Order submitted.
See how this finishes.
Order cancelled.
Fact.
Order
I
submitted.
think the better option is to put a buy order above there.
I mean, you could put it there. Trouble is, it might trigger above and come down. I'd rather put it where the shortstop is and then get a couple of points up. See if there's triggers. I prefer this to trigger.
Order cancelled. Order submitted. Order cancelled.
Does look like it's going to work short, but I'm not. The trouble is, there's we've had a second entry short. I don't like the bar, and we've just hit the same point there, so I don't know. It probably will come down, but there's no real exit there, entrance there. I mean, you take that. Trouble is, it could push higher. There's no lower high there, so it just makes it a little bit more risky. 3-point stop. The trouble is, Harjit, with our strategy, mate, I can't randomly put it in. Trouble is, you just don't know. It might push up. If I'm going shorty, it might push up. Where's your stop go? That's the trouble I've got to do. See, ordinarily that would be a second entry short. If that finished bearing, then I would short there, and my stop would be a tick above this bar. Trouble is, it's just a little bit congested at the moment, so I wouldn't be shocked if it pushes higher. It's clearly going sideways, and I'm not a fan of being in trades when they go sideways, because I usually lose my bottle and get out, and they end up usually going in the direction that I want them to, so I tend to just stay out now. Much safer. Trouble is, if you took that failure, I mean, it didn't trigger anyway, but if you're in a short here, I'll be pretty nervous about now. I mean, one thing you got going for you is that the EMA is holding prices, but the EMA is flat and you're right on this midline, so it could quite easily just go up as come down. So I think a short trade here is just as risky as a long trade. It could go up or down. Right, we're right on that midline. It could go either up or down. I got no idea. I'd expect it to make a new low of this, but I expected this one too, but it didn't. So it's 50-50 in my opinion whether it goes up or down. Starting to build up a line here, see? And a lot of times when you get that, it'll eventually push through there. Sometimes with a bit of vigour.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars sat on there. It's clearly struggling to get through. The trouble is, if it does, a lot of times it'll go up with a little bit of a punch. And if you did have your, if you did take that short there, I think it's highly likely if it breaks above there, it'll let that stop. Okay, so it's broke above there. Let's see what happens now. Maybe it's going to come down. I got no idea, to be honest with you. Could go up, could come down. But I'd say this, yeah, if you took that second entry short, you got stopped down now anyway. It's just too risky. We've got one leg, could have another leg. Could go right to the top here. I don't know. I got no idea. Yeah, it's choppy. When it goes sideways like that, especially around the midline, it's 50-50 really. I mean, you would think channel break, new low. We had one push up, two push up. You think we come down, but we haven't. We've gone up. That's the trouble really. It's just when it's around that middle and it goes sideways, it's just unpredictable. So if you took that short, you're out of the game anyway. It was a risky trade anyway, being a tick or so above the EMA. And it wasn't. If that had finished down here bearish, then I might have taken that, but I mean, even Harjit, if you went short and you had your stop 3 points, you're out of that now anyway. So that's the trouble. You got to have a bit of a plan in mind. And if it starts to go like this, you just got to leave it alone. And sometimes these smaller ranges are even more unpredictable than the larger ones. When we'd had this breakout here, I'd expected something. A lot of cases, you get the opposite down here, but we haven't. We've had a break of this channel, and we've had one push up to the EMA, and we've gone a little bit sideways, and I thought we may come down. We might have one leg, two legs, and come back down, but it's just unpredictable. Okay, so that's made two perfect measured legs. One leg, two leg. So let's see if it comes down. Trouble is, see, someone said short. We've had a low here, so if anything, we're sort of making higher lows. So you know what I mean. And same here, a bit higher, obviously with the exception of here. So we could be working up. It's just you can't make a decision based on whether we're trending or whether we're sort of trending up or down at the moment or down. To me, we're clearly just going sideways. I mean, forget that. That doesn't mean nothing, really. You can only sort of trade what you're seeing, really. And at the moment, we're just clearly going sideways. Now, whether it will go down or not, or whether it will push up, who knows? It's 50-50 in my opinion. I can't. There's nothing that's telling me where we're going at the moment, apart from sideways. Yeah, 7 to 10. 7 to 10 points max. I'm assuming you mean ticks, don't you? So I could say 7 to 10 points. The old range is only moving about 5, isn't it? 7 points. Oh, right, it's moving 8 to 8. I thought it was less than that, actually, but yeah, it's 7 to 10 points. I think you mean ticks, don't you? Well, I mentioned it earlier. I don't know how many people heard. With this new Apex, this new discount, it's 80% off. They've introduced a reduced payment that you can apply for. So whereas the minimum you can take out was $1,000, it's now been reduced to $500. So if you want a little bit but not a lot, you can take that now. Which it's good for some people. Some people just want a bit, but they want to build their account. They don't want to take such a chunk of their account out. So that's permanent now. Also, the competition they got. They're giving away 3 PA accounts, and I think their sort of big bonus or big prize they're doing that someone will win 10 $100,000 PA accounts with a lifetime payment. So they're all ready to go. So imagine that. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Imagine having 10 PA accounts all paid for. You can literally start to build them. So So every time you take an evaluation, you're entered into a draw for that and what any other bits and pieces. So, but as I mentioned before, I was pretty confident that I mentioned yesterday that we were likely to have 80% again. We seem to have 88. I mean, 50% was the norm really, but it does seem like it's 80% is the norm now. So, which is good news really, because I certainly wouldn't pay any more than 80% anymore. It's not cheap to learn to trade, is it? So 80% off, it's just so much more affordable. The only downside to that is you're a lot more likely to take risks because you haven't got a lot to lose. That's the downside of it. So from a longevity point of view, having it too cheap can make it a bit tough. But it's good to have the 80% anyway, so I can't see them adding changing that at all now, personally. So there is a possibility, there is a bigger trend, but it's still a bit too early. It's certainly more sideways than down. It's hard to say. Trouble is, if you're thinking down, let's just put that back a minute. If you're thinking down, you may be suckered into taking a trade like that. And I think that's dangerous, personally. You know, if you've got something like that, we come up to the tops, we come up to the top again, you may be inclined to take a short there. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but that's the trouble sometimes with adding these larger trends too early before the market has time to establish itself. But for me, it's not right. Something's not right about it. It's clearly just a push down and then sideways. And that's the downside of putting those into it. I mean, yeah, it works, but I mean, you can make anywhere fit anywhere really if you want to. So if you took a short there, personally, I think that's risky. Because I think we're ranging, and I think the chance of us getting up to these highs are quite high. Would be nice if you could buy like 5 of our accounts bundle at a reducer rate. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. In fact, I'd message them, Jay. I think that's a good idea, mate. Maybe if you buy 4, you get 1 free, something like that. You know, some form of an offer. Buy 4, get 1 free. You know, buy 5 for the price of 4, something like that. I think that's a good idea. If I was you, I'd email Apex. I wouldn't, you know, because a lot of people take 2 or 3, but if they see that offer, they may be inclined to take a little bit more. So I think it's a good idea. I'd message them, Jay, if I was you. See, you could say that's a downtrend, and indeed it may be. But I just think sometimes before it's had time to properly establish itself, I think it's risky. I think that's a great idea, mate. I mean, they're always on the lookout for good sort of marketing strategies, aren't they? And I think that'd be a good one. You know, 5 for the price of 4 or something like that in bundles. I mean, I still don't know why if you want to sign up to 20 evaluations, you've got to do it 20 times. You can't. You know, they should have a button there where you could buy 5 at once or 10 at once, rather than having to go through each individual one. Because if you've got to go through 20, that'd probably take you the best part of an hour. And if they want people to start taking, you know, lots of them, then they should make it a little bit easier. But I think it's a good idea, mate. I think you should email them and suggest that idea. Who knows? They may even give you a free evaluation for the idea. I think that's a top idea, that, mate. I think, well, I don't blame you, mate. I think that's a good idea, that. I mean, you know, most sort of supermarkets or whatever do that sort of thing, don't they? And they obviously do it because it works. You might be inclined to buy a couple more than you really would have done in the first place, in which case they're going to sell extra evaluations. So I think that's a top idea, mate. So if they choose your idea, then you should get a free evaluation for that. Okay, there is a second entry long there, not something that interests me, but there's also a failure Now we've had this push down and we haven't come back to these lows, so trouble is it's just risky at the moment, isn't it? It is a second entry long that's triggered, but it's a little bit in the middle of it. See if you are on the side of that's a channel, a downtrend, sorry, then you may be inclined to take that failure. But I just don't know at the moment. I'm just not convinced. I mean, it touches there, it floats above it. I mean, normally you would sort of go, to the first swing, but it's a little bit floating there, so I think it's just a little bit risky personally. But I may be wrong. But we all have to sort of do what we feel's right. Let's see if that triggers. Okay, so if you took that long, I mean, if you took that fairly, it's triggered. I just don't know. There's just it's not right. It's going right around the middle. It could go up or down. I was wondering about what you just said. You can't use copier during evaluations. Yeah, you can. As in trying to pass 5 accounts at once. You can, mate, yeah. Yes, you can, yeah. Done it many times. Okay, there is a failure there, which is triggered. If you took that second entry long, I kind of like that, but it's a bit late now. There is a second entry long there, which is triggered and just got stopped out. The trouble is, we're around the middle and there's not a massive amount of distance to the lows. If we can get a bit of a pullback.
Order submitted.
Where was it? About here, wasn't it?
Order filled.
Taking 2 points just down to about here. Let's take it to there. It's a failure. We've had this push down. It is looking bearish, put it that way. So that was the failure there. 2, 4, it's 2.5 points down to the lows. Try to go once, try to go twice. Failure triggered. It's under this line, followed by a nice bearish bar. See, we pushed down and we came up. We didn't hit the bottoms and we didn't hit the tops, which tells me 1 leg, 2 leg. I think this may be another leg. 1 leg, 2 legs. So I think that's worth the failure. I mean, it is a little bit more of a risky trade, but I don't mind doing it on an evaluation. Stopped out.
Stop filled.
Yeah, well, that didn't work. Oh dear. That's not a failure, my guy. Certainly is, mate. New high. Try to go once, try to go twice. Triggered. Fell second entry long. Certainly is a failure. We got a high here, yeah? Pushed up. That was the previous high. This is a new high. Try to go once, push down, try to go high twice. Triggered failure. Failed second entry long. Well, not a good start. Well, to me, it looked like 1 leg down, 1 leg, 2 legs up, followed by a second leg down. So I was taking it based on 2 legs. There's a perfect measured move there. So we got this short-term, we got this channel, 1, 2 legs down. And I thought first entry, second entry failure, coming down to the lows, but obviously it didn't work. I don't mind taking slightly more riskier stuff on an evaluation. But the market's a little bit sideways. Not only that, if you think about it, there's a second entry long there, which is triggered. So any longs are in there are going to get trapped. It's clearly just going sideways, so it's not the ideal place to take a trade right in the middle. Double trap, second entry long which triggered and stopped you out, failure which triggered and stopped it out. That's the trouble with taking trades around the middle. Yeah, my thinking was we got this channel coming down. We had one leg, two legs, so that was sort of like a correction. And in a lot of cases, you'll have a correction. You'll have one leg down like that. You'll have a two-legged correction followed by another leg down, and that's what I'm thinking. Especially as we pull back up to the EMA and prices. But sometimes when it's sideways, it just doesn't work. One leg, two legs. One leg down, trend channel down, one leg, two leg, followed by another leg down. That was my thinking. That's why I took the trade. I don't mind taking slightly a riskier trade. Did you watch Mac's video yesterday? A little tiny touch of it at the early hours of the morning, mate, but I didn't really take it in. Sent a message on the bundle idea. Oh, good on you, Jay. Well done, mate. Well done. Good on you. Okay, short-term trend channel break new high. See if we can get a lower high. See if we can get a lower high here. Come on, push up. Mm. It's just so hard to trade, really. Trouble is, it's not really hitting the. So it's probably more likely somewhere down here, really. It's hard to know where. The trouble is, some days you get days that just every time they hit in a different area, might be more like that. It's touching a bunch of times there, and also there as well. Okay, so we're going to push up. There's a first entry set. There's a failure there, which is triggered to go long. So there may be a trap there. Yeah, I don't know what it's doing at the moment. It's clearly just ranging at the moment. I certainly wouldn't say it was bearish, apart from that initial push. But I got no idea. Max give us anything yet? Ooh.
Yeah, Mac's got more or less the same. He's got his, what's it, drawn slightly different. But obviously it's changed a bit since then. So it's certainly touching way more times here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And that's clearly the top. And that looks like a breakout, fell breakout. Fell breakout, push down. We've come back up. So I don't know, we're going to go lower. I don't know. I just don't know what's going on at the moment. It's just hard to trade it, really. Well, if this is a wide down channel, we just got to break, I guess. We'll see. Yeah, it's not going up or down at the moment. It's clearly just going sideways, isn't it? Whether it will continue down or not after this, I don't know. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's just trouble is sometimes when it's like this, you get dragged into doing trades like that out of sheer boredom. But I tend to, I'm on an evaluation, so I tend to be a little bit more stricter with my the PAs. Trouble is sometimes those work, sometimes they don't. It may have come down to the bottom, you just don't know, do you? But it's hard to trade. It is quite choppy, and it's not, it's fitting in within sort of what, six or 7 points top to bottom, but there's lots of choppiness. Choppy here, choppy here, choppy down here, choppy here. It's just lots of it at the moment. That I thought was okay. At the time, I had my channel drawn up here, and that looked like it was a channel. The break, second entry short, I thought that was coming down for sure. At the time, obviously, when I took that, my channel was up here then, or about here somewhere. So I thought, one leg down and then another leg down, but it wasn't to be. Some days, hey Brant, how you doing, buddy? Days aren't meant to be traded. This is one of them. Super low volume, no price. Yeah, there's low volume in it. I think this is a case of sitting there till you find one beauty and then just take the one and leave it at that, I think. Yeah, I suppose days like this is where experience comes into it. I mean, people like Matt could trade days like this. I mean, if Mac had taken that, you'd have scalped a point. If Matt had taken that, you'd have scalped a point. Well, maybe you wouldn't there. There you would have done. Yeah, you'd have squeezed a ball, depending on where you took it. Trouble is, with these, see, you're just naturally expecting it to come down to the bottoms after we've had a break. That looked like a channel to me. One leg, 2 legs up, trying to go. Once push below the EMA, try to go again. And obviously it looked as well like a second entry long, which is triggered. And I thought that was at least going to come down to the lows and give me 2 points. But sometimes on days like this, it's just a little bit more unpredictable, especially when you haven't got a massive distance from top to bottom to play with. Yeah, I mean, some cases, I know a couple of traders who will just, they'll walk away now and leave this, and then maybe come back later, that, maybe late this afternoon or early evening, UK, depending on where you are. Yeah, because I mean, at some point it may do this for another hour and then push up into a nice trend, and then there may be some offerings there. But that's the trouble really with trading. See, you could just get lucky. It might give you a nice setup. Or you might be sat here for another 2 hours and there's nothing really. It's just one of those things. Yesterday was quite a straightforward day. Today, obviously, you just got to. I mean, this is where it requires the patience and the discipline,
This is something I've got to install more into my trading, the discipline, and not take riskier trades. I mean, to be honest with you, I thought that was a good trade, and I thought at the time I had my channel, it was about there, I think. It was sitting nice. We'd had this one leg down and a little bit of sideways back up, and I thought that was the leg down. And for me, nice channel, second entry short, nice bearish bar, EMA tipping down. I thought that was coming down. Even just, I was only taking it for 2 points, but sometimes they'll work and sometimes they'll fly, other times they just won't. So yeah, sometimes they'll just work lovely, and you just won't bat an eyelid that bit. You'll move on. It was a good trade then. Other times. Yeah. I mean, this is very low volume, isn't it? I mean, days like this, you know, maybe sit around and just take one trade and that's it. Leave it at that. But you need to be a little bit extra experienced, don't you? Obviously, experience makes a difference when there's days like this. When you've sat through a few year after year of days like this, you'll know what works and what doesn't work and the days to stay away from. But I've only been trading this style for a couple of years, so I'm still sort of in those earlier years, really. I'm still finding me feet and I'm still making silly mistakes. But, you know, as Mac and everyone's said before, it takes time. It doesn't come easy. You know what? I was speaking to a guy who reckoned realistically, when you get that 3 to 5 years, that's when you start to get more consistency. And when you're doing it 5 years plus, things should become a lot more natural. But it does take time. And yeah, I mean, if you ask Mac, it takes years. But this is one of those things that it's almost like an art, isn't it, really? You just keep sort of getting better and better, and, you know, every day's a school day. Well, the reason I didn't is because I didn't come in till sort of here, so I didn't. But it's by the by, really, isn't it? It was something like that, which we've had a break at a new low anyway. But it doesn't really matter if I have that or not. Really, it's not going to affect my day, is it? I know we've had a leg down. I can leave it there, but it doesn't. It has no bearing on this at the moment because we're clearly going sideways. I'm aware that we've pushed down and we may push down again, or we may come back up, and it may just be one of those sort of days where you get something like this. I mean, look at that. It's just stacking up in it. So I went short there. I knew it was a riskier trade. We had this channel, and to me it looked like a bit of a correction, one leg, two legs. And I thought that was coming down at the bottom. I was only after a couple of points, and it came down a point, but obviously not quite enough. But I've got some PAs, 3 of them coming live. I'm reducing my risk down to 1 contract, and obviously trades like this, slightly higher risky ones, I'll just avoid. But I did think that was okay at the time. Trouble is, at the time, you wouldn't necessarily know this was going to sort of range. Look at all that. Okay, folks, I'm just going to take a quick few-minute break, and I'm just going to go and make a cup of coffee. And I will be back. 5 minutes. Oh, trouble is, you just don't know that's going to do that, do you? You can't trade in there, really. Yeah, absolute chop. Yeah, you got that right, mate. Trouble is, you can't trade in that because what do you do? And obviously, when you get that one, then broke out the top and obviously picked up some shorts and down it came. It was a breakout you were looking for. Took 2 hours. My only indicator is less. He's going to take a quick break. Did it help you with anything, though? That's the point. Yeah, it is hard to trade this. I mean, I don't know about you guys. Usually, evaluations, you do tend to take a bit more riskier trades. In all honesty, I thought that was okay. We had this channel down here. We'd pushed up twice. It was a clear second entry short. I had my 2 points. I think it was a couple of ticks below there. And after this push down and a little bit of a correction, I thought that was coming down. I'd have put money on that, but I don't know. At the time, the bottom of my range was up here somewhere, and we hadn't had all that since. So it's just, it happens. But yeah, I knew that was a risky trade, but sometimes they just work. I'm thinking we've had this push down. It looked like 2 legs up, and then I thinking then we're coming down to the bottom. So yeah, I mean, evaluate. I mean, we all treat evaluations a little bit more careless than we probably should do. But that's the trouble with these range days. Sometimes you get dragged into taking silly trades like that. It was a failure. Another thing that got me into it as well, it was a second entry long which triggered, and I thought if it breaks below there, it'll come down. I mean, it did break below there, but obviously market had other ideas. How do you change the colours of your buy and sell button? These here. If you right click in there and then click properties, there you go. There's all your buttons there. Blue, green, red. Action button, buy button, sell button. And you can obviously change these as well. Your stop losses, your entries, and all that sort of stuff you can train there. So yeah, just hover over there and then right click and click on properties. You can change
Order submitted.
the colors of them. You can change the length of them. Obviously, you can make this come right across the side. It depends. I kind of like it longer than the entry. So I've got it sort of, I don't see exactly where it is, but
order cancelled.
You're welcome, Aaron. You're welcome, yeah. But just hovering there or here, anywhere like that, right click. And there you go. You can do all sorts in there. There's your display bar. That bar that comes across with your order, you can obviously reduce the height of it and so on and so forth. You can change this to points. There's all sorts of stuff you can do, but I'd probably only just scratch the surface. But if you don't use stuff like that, so you probably don't know about it, but I'd like some sort of an alarm that comes on, starts flashing maybe 15 minutes before the news or something like that, some form of an alarm. I wish they'd incorporate something like that. Yeah, see? So, I mean, you see this here. If you took that bar and you had these bars here, you'd put money on it when we're coming down to the bottoms, but look what happened. Straight up. So when you're getting things, I mean, look at that. 3 big bars like that straight away. I mean, you think maybe a bit of a pullback, and then you're going to come down to these bottoms, but we seem to be slowly getting higher and higher. That's why it's hard to trade. It's unpredictable. It's acting irrationally. It's unpredictable. I mean, a load of sideways, then a quick drop followed by a quick push up. See, when that broke above here, they picked up a load of short orders, which sent that down like that. So it does make you wonder whether we're going to happen again. I mean, it's sort of it's coming down to around about this area, isn't it? Somewhere around about there. So I don't know, maybe we're going to get the same. See if we get the same. See if this comes down bearish. Anyone got upside target of 41.50 up here? I ain't got a clue what it's doing, to be fair. I know it's going sideways, but I don't know whether we're going to push up or whether we're going to come down. It's 50-50, I think, isn't it? You might think we've had that leg down and eventually we may make another leg down. I got no idea. You just don't know. Some of these days are just, it's hard to tell exactly what they're going to do. Long or short, all I'm thinking about is going long from the tops and short from the tops and long from the bottoms, but it just might push up, it might, I got no idea. Okay, short-term trend channel, a bit of a break here, so every time we've had a short-term trend channel, we've had a break, we've had a bearish bar, we've come back. Same again there, bearish bar, we've come back. Short-term trend channel break, new high, came back with a bearish bar, same there. Trouble is, if it comes down, how far is it going to come down? You thought break new high. Look how far that came down. Not very far at all. And eventually got to the bottom with that, but trouble is you could come down, take a short here, it might go up, and then come down again. It's just unpredictable at the moment, really. Sometimes you're better off risking that back to the EMA than waiting for a lower high, only to trigger, come down to here, and then push up again. So here's a well, I mean, you can call that, well, there's a first entry, so it is technically a second entry short, but trouble is, I'd have preferred to make a new high, because you just don't know, do you? Trouble is, I just mentioned, if you take the lower high there, you don't know how far it's going to come down. See if it gives us a lower high here, that's bearish. Just got to be careful we don't end up doing the same as that. Any lower high there was that one, but it wasn't. It was above the EMA and it wasn't triggered anyway, so it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I've got a PA coming live tomorrow. So I'll be reducing down to one contract from now on. Two contracts is just presenting too much risk, and it's having too much of a psychological effect. So everything I've read lately tells me that all the information out there from experienced traders in books always tends to point to the same thing. People trade too much risk. Try and get too big too quick. I mean, we all know about the money you can earn in trading. The trouble is sometimes that can blind you a little bit, can't it? You can just think money, profits, as opposed to, you know, the process and building up slowly. You try and build up too quick with too much risk, and I think it's common sense that the chance of it happening is slim. So I'll be going down to one contract at least to build these accounts. I've got 3 coming live this week. So we had a push up, we had a break, we haven't had a new high. We had a push up, break, new high, but we only came back to here before we pushed back up to the top and then dropped. So that's the risk about taking lower highs here. You just don't know what's going to happen. You may trigger and then push up to the top and end up going sort of in the same direction. I have a small internal trend channel running from the red candle. Just like I've drawn there, yeah? Is that right? Trouble is, there's no entry there really. I mean, that technically was a second entry. We got this push up there. There's your first entry. There's your second entry. That was a second entry. Trouble is, so many times where you get candles like that will trigger you, go up, stop you out, and then come down nice and bearish, and then drop straight down the bottom. So I tend to try and leave them. Now they tend to get me in more trouble than not, really. It's all about learning experience. Every time you mess something up and you fail something, it puts a little notch in your brain, and sooner or later, when you've got enough notches, you'll identify an area where you've been caught out before, and you might not specifically be able to put your finger on it, but something just won't feel right. Okay, so we've got to push down there. See, normally you'd expect this little bit of a pullback, and then another leg. We'll see. I like the way it's pushed below the EMA. It hadn't really there. It was sat just below, and obviously. Then we had these bars here, and if you'd have thought lower high there, I mean, one, it was in a crap place. The bar wasn't brilliant, and it was above the EMA anyway. And trouble is, you don't know. This finish is very bearish. Then it is ugly price action, but that finish is very bearish. Then I may be interested in a lower high for 2 points there. Yeah, I mean, this seems to be the area that it's coming down to. So, okay, let's have it.
Order submitted.
I like that because that is more or less still in that channel, which I like. I like that. Please stay bearish. Come on, give us a bloody chance. Drop, you bugger. Drop. Nope. No good. Do you think trading somewhere between 5 and 10 contracts will restrict you to be more disciplined? Because with bigger contracts, you're more cautious. Everyone thinks again. Do you think that trading somewhere between 5 and 10 contracts will restrict you to be more disciplined? 5 and 10 contracts. Bigger contract, you're more cautious. I think I'll be a shaking, gibbering, dribbling mess if I did 5 to 10 contracts. So yeah, if I'm trading on a $50,000 account. If you trade 10 contracts, 6 points goes against you, and you're blowing your account. I know because I've done it, trying to get lucky. Now, I do know people who do trade larger contract sizes. I do something like that with an evaluation, but not with a PA. I know what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying. I don't know. I think I'm actually moving down from 2 to 1. The trouble is with 2 contracts, you lose 7 trades and you're knackered. So I'm just, everything I read tells me, oh, traders trade too much, they trade too much risk. It's been pointing to that direction for me. Trouble is, I'm a bit stubborn sometimes, and I always think I know best. And that's not the case, because I'm clearly struggling to agree. Now, I can trade. I know what a good trade is. I know that's a risky trade. It's because I'm on an evaluation that I'll take slightly riskier trades. I mean, my theory was we had a push, we had this breakout. I'd expect something at the bottom there. So we had this channel. We had 2 legs up. So to me, that's a channel with a correction. Try to go higher once, push below the EMA, and try to go higher again, which closed. Yes, it was bullish, but it's not so much as important in the signal bar on a failure. But I'm thinking 2 legs up, I expect a new low. And not only that, it's a second entry long off this bottom. So that might influence a few longs. In which case, once we broke below there, I thought we're going to come down. I only had 2 points mapped out, but sometimes they'll work and sometimes they won't. It's just I mean, would I trade that on a PA account? No, because it's obviously a riskier trade. But it's about finding that balance of finding trades strict enough, because sometimes I'll leave trades that I think they're slightly risky, and I'll see people like Mark or Matt put them, and I'm thinking, well, I actually thought that was quite risky. So it's finding that balance of being frightened to pull the trigger and waiting for a great setup, and obviously, you know, how many points you're scalping for. If you're scalping a point, then obviously, you know, those 2 trades I took may have made about a point, but there are trades that I've taken which should make a point, but you know, sometimes they don't work. But you know, when we're not in a range like this, I've worked out that 85% of my winning trades make 6 points or more. So my plan was to go for more points. But obviously at the moment, things seem to be quite volatile. Markets are a little bit unpredictable. So I'm reducing my contracts, my profits down to somewhere between 2 and 4 points. Depends. I mean, if we've got a big channel down here and it comes up here and there's 6 points to the low, then I'll probably go for more the 4 points. But you know, what I would consider doing is, if I had 10 accounts, I may do some of them, maybe 2 of them at 4 contracts, maybe 2 of them at 2 contracts and the rest at 1, or something like that. Then I think that's okay. Maybe having a couple of slightly higher risks where you got a chance of making a bit more money, and maybe some a bit lower risk. But I think expansion coming soonish, though. Expansion. I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. You might have to be a bit more clearer. Okay, there is a bearish bar there, but I don't know. It might work, it might not. I don't know. It could push out. Could have 1 leg, 2 leg. Let's get rid of that. Not
Order
sure what you mean there,
cancelled.
bud. Expansion. This is it. Short it. I can't just short that, mate, because I have to have some form of a plan for me. I mean, you could say it's a lower high. Trouble is, it's above the EMA. We could have 1 leg, another leg. I don't know really. Like market has been contracted. Like market has been contracted. Has been contracted. We are probably going to see bigger moves soon. Yeah. See, what I've been doing, Jonathan, is trying to go for bigger moves. Now, the downside to that is you're going to lose more trades. And if you have an issue with losing trades, that plays more on the psychological side of it. And I seem to have had that lately. So going for bigger moves, I think, is maybe a ways further down the road for me, maybe in another 12 months. I mean, I've been trading this style now basically 2 years. I started at the beginning of June 2 years ago. So it takes time. We all know it takes time. You know, trying to balance everything, but it's. I had a guy message me once, and he described it really well. It's a forging process. It's forging that mind of ours, which reacts with panic and emotions and all this. It's forging it to work in a certain in a certain way, and it takes time to keep. You know, I suppose it's like going down an alley, isn't it? You know, you see these guys that in the Winter Olympics that go down these luges and that sort of thing. They're bouncing off the sides, and it sort of takes time till you can flow down the middle when things start to work nice and you've got some balance. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, shorts at the moment. I don't know whether we're going up or down at the moment. You know, I'd certainly say it looks like this. It has been touching really nice there, but it seems to look like this maybe. No, it doesn't touch any better, really. I think that's still the place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's touching beautifully there. These seem like little fail breakouts, but see, do you know, look at this. See what we did here? We pushed up, we came down and went back to the top, which we're doing here. We pulled out, went back down. This could be a lower high. Pushed out, sold off. Let's see how that finishes.
Order
That might be
submitted.
a lower high coming back down. We had the same sort of thing here when we had a nice bar. We dropped. Let's see if this gives us something. Just want the bar. Yeah, unless it finishes bearish, I won't touch it, mate. I know I trade a little bit differently on evaluations, a little bit more sort of carefree, which is probably not the best, but I think it's just how people work. They obviously get a lot more risky with the valuations. That's the downside of valuations being cheap. You know, you're not losing a lot. Okay, I don't mind that. Might drop below here and tank. Get me. Lower high.
Order
See what it does
filled.
down here. Let's go down to about here. 4. 5, 6, 7. Let's go for 3 points. Keeps us well within the ranges of the bottoms there. Did the same here, didn't it? It came down and it pushed up a bit and then dropped. We came down, pushed up a bit and hopefully dropped. We had that bearish bar there, pushed down, there's a lower height there. I'd have preferred it a tick or two lower, but on some charts it may be. So if we can get below there, and I think we're okay then to here. And I've gone comfortably above where I think I need to, and that will give me 3 points. Yeah, I think once we get around about here, then I may bring my order down. But once we get below here, I think we'll be okay. It does look like a bit of a channel coming down here. I don't know if it's going to come down as quick as there, but we did similar here. Push down, a little bit of a pullback, and then dropped. And we had the same push down, a little bit of a pullback. So in other words, we've got this new high trying to go once. Technically, that's a failure, really. And it's closed below the EMA. But it is a little bit congested. So once it gets below these lows here, then I think we're okay then to here. It's got to break these areas here, I think. There is a... See, it is a bit congested there. So once we can get below here, I think we'll be okay then. It's looking like almost like a short-term trend channel there. So I just prefer that close a little bit lower. Sometimes they take time to work a bit. It almost looks like a bit of a little bit of a short-term trend channel. In fact, I don't mind that breaking above there a little bit, because that would create a sort of a failure if you don't take into consideration this high. Taking its time though, that's the problem. Still closed within there. It's a bit of a doji, but it's still closed. Once we get below these, then I think we're okay then. Yeah, he's right. There is a little bit of around the midline, but I think once we get to the midline, I'll certainly be bringing my stop down a little bit. So we had this push up, break new high, same here, push up, you could call that break new high. We came down and pushed up a couple of times and then dropped. Same here, came down, pushed up a couple of times, hopefully dropped. I mean, it was a little more bearish there anyway, and then that took over. But once we get below these lows, I think we'll come down relatively quickly to here. Yeah, once we get down so far, if we can get below here, I expect it to move a bit quicker then. Trouble is, this range is hitting different points every time. I mean, what I will say is it's clearly targeting this area around here, which is why I put my stop, my sort of take profit proud of anything. So it's well above these. So if that comes below there, I expect it to come down to here. But it is very choppy. You think below 4133? I hope you're right. In fact, I don't mind that ticking above there because it would create a failure then. So it's very slow today. Very slow. Usually I hate being stuck in trades like this, but they don't really bother me as much anymore, especially on the evaluations. I'm getting used to the feeling a bit. And hopefully on the PAs, with me reducing the contract size down to 1, that should decrease that stress. So you can only afford to lose 7 trades in a row when you trade in 2 contracts, but obviously that doubles when you trade in 1 contract. So hopefully that should have less of a sort of an impact on my stress levels. Once we get below here and here, then I'll get a little bit more comfortable then. In fact, I wanted to go for 3 points, didn't I? Let's put it there. I'll just keep it tight once we start pushing below. Okay, that's looking a little bit more positive now. fact, there may be some stops there, so I might bring that below there and just keep it, once it has a push down to where I want it to be, I'll just drop in my, let's put that back where it was. It can push down a bit more, then I'll just drop it in somewhere. The reason I've dropped that below there is because there may be some stops there. Once we get to about here, where I wanted about the 3 points, then I'll drop my stop in there. Hopefully, if it does get down there, it may push down there nicely. At some point, we're going to get down to these bottoms again. Yeah. Come on, down you come. Get a little bit lower.
Stop filled.
Okay, 2.5 points. That's not too bad. I thought once it gets down here, if it breaks below it, it might have a quick drop. But that'll do me. Did I get 2.5 points, didn't I? There may be some stops here, see, so somewhere between 2 and 4 points. That's around about where I wanted. Ideally, 3 would have been nice, but 5, 6, 7, 2.5 points. That's initially what I had it here. But I'd say if we can get below here, I think we'll have a quick push. That's fine. It's a green bar. That's a positive one. Okay, lower high. Lower high. Happy days. Trouble is, at the moment, it's bouncing off this area here, so I don't know what it's going to do. I don't really want to take it any lower. Because I mean, look, it might just rank straight back up. It did here. We came back down. We had a similar sort of pattern here, which is why it got me interested. We had this push up, then we had a push down, and then we sort of worked our way back up to the top, which we did here. We had this push down, then we worked our way back up the top, and then we pushed down strongly, and we had that bearish bar. So that was a lower high, and I liked it. It came down touch there. So for me, it was a good trade. Now, a tick or two lower would have looked even better, but it was bearish enough, and it worked down to the lows. It's the same sort of thing there, but obviously nice big bearish bar, which is probably why it came down a bit quicker. But, you know, I mean, we made this new high, try to go once, push down below the knee, try to go twice. It's a fairly lower high. You could have called it a second entry short, whatever you want to call it, but I expected it to at least get down to this lower section here, which it did. So so that was okay. So at least we're down 225 now, so that was okay. Longs are hanging in the air. The trouble is, you just don't know whether it's going to whack back up, because I really, it may just do this for the rest of the day. Then it's certainly done this since where, let's say, so sort of about 9:30 UK time. 12:30, 1323, 3:34. It's done that for about 7.5 hours gone sideways. So I don't know. Could absolutely shoot up, come to the tops, or it could carry on going down. I got no idea at the moment. It's just all I know is it's just going. It's just unpredictable at the moment. We're clearly just ranging at the moment. So whether that's more like that or not, I don't know. Maybe it only really touches a few times there, but it seems to be where it starts to turn anyway. Trouble is, it's clearly struggling here, so it may drop down below, or it may drop down below a touch and then shoot back up. I got no idea. So that was, let's fill these in. So that was, just move this mic out of the way. That was plus 2.5 points. That was one at a time. Okay, that was okay. That's tick below there, which is same, but I don't know. It might just shoot up. Short-term trend channel break, new low, could go up. I got no idea. That one was. Uh, 2.25 points. Minus 2.25 points. Yeah, that was a careless trade there. I wouldn't have taken that on the valuation. And that one was. See, I thought that was a good trade. Obviously, I had my bottom up here, but I thought that was a nice trade. I thought that was coming right down here. I did. Just goes to show sometimes it just don't work. 2, 3, 4, 5. That was 2.5 points. Minus 2.5 points. Okay, so we are 2.25 points down, which is not the end of the world. Doesn't really worry me so much on an evaluation anymore. Shame that one. That one, yeah. It might work, it might not work, that one. Just, but at the moment, see, really, before that, we were coming down low enough for these lows to make them points. But obviously, then we started working at this area, so you just don't know. For me, it was a channel, one leg, two legs. That's sort of a correction. I expected another leg down here, which is why I went for that one. And it was also a second entry long, so there may have been some longs going off the bottom. Yeah, who knows. Took the same. Hello, mate. How you doing, buddy? How you doing? Yeah, it's been a funny day today. Yesterday was all right. I did okay yesterday, but how did you get on today, bud? I always have a look at your chart later on, see how you got on. I think you'll do really well, mate. I do. You've got patience, and the losses don't really seem to affect you that much. Not enough to go and blow your account. So stick with what you're doing, and you'll do all right. When it comes, see, I think my strong point is reading the trends and channels, but my weak point is my psychology, taking sort of poor quality trades. But that was okay. We'd had similar sort of pattern here. We'd pushed up, we'd come down. I mean, normally you'd expect that to come down, even if it had a break, come down, but we seem to work our way back up to the top. Same there again. Just took the first trade, that one there. See, at the time I had my channel about here at the time, and I liked it because we'd had those touches there, and we had this channel. We pushed down and we bounced off this area twice, and it was a second entry. I thought that was a lovely trade, to be fair, but obviously at the time we weren't to know we would end up in a range there. But I thought that was a nice trade there. I bet a few people got caught out there. But it was a clear second entry long. EMA was starting to tip after this channel. I thought that was a beauty, but hey, sometimes they just don't work, do they? I also like following Taylor because he quite often posts his losses.
And sometimes, you know, things just don't work. So it is what it is. It is what it is. No trades on the stream today. Oh, you didn't take any yesterday? I did a couple yesterday. It's weird though. I mean, I took trades yesterday. I thought they were beauties, and you didn't. Some days you'll take a couple of trades, and I'll see them and think, oh, I never really noticed that. Or, you know, sometimes I don't know. Your thoughts might be somewhere else, or but you know, bars from chart to chart sometimes can you know, sometimes I'll get a nice looking bearish bar, and on your chart it might be slightly different. It does that sometimes, so you just don't know. But nice little high. Thanks, Brain. The trouble is, what I did think there when that started to slow down, and I'm thinking, hold on a minute, we ended up doing something like this now. I thought maybe we're going to push up and do this, but you just don't. The trouble is, on days like this where they are that choppy, and if you look every time they do a bottom, it's in a different place. So, you know, I think it helps when you've got a lot of experience trading, you know, knowing what to do here. But obviously, if I'd have left those two and just taken that one, it would have been a good day for me. You know, as it happens, I'm down a couple $150. What time is it? I've got another 15 minutes anyway, but is that going to go back up to the top? Who knows? It's kind of a bullish bar, isn't it? It's sitting on that line, which seemed to be, but you just don't know whether it's going to trigger you and come down to here. Obviously, in this case, as soon as I mention it, off it goes, but you just don't know, dear. And you don't know whether there's maybe a slightly bigger channel working there. And if I'm going along here, it might come up here and come down. It's just hard to say, but it is definitely harder to trade on days like this. The volume isn't massive, but there's a bit of a push and some chop. And I mean, when we had this push to the tops, you'd expect straight down, wouldn't you? You wouldn't expect it to come back to the tops again, but it did that twice. How you getting on with that trade copy? You find it better? It's working okay? Useful tip to know that, isn't it? If you stream, I mentioned to Moomin the other day about the trade copier, the Replicanto trade copier. If you're streaming or you're advertising it, so and they give you it for free. And especially after you've paid $150 to Apex and you're having problems with it, it's a bit frustrating to pay another $150. But when they give it you for free, I'll quite happy. As you know, I'll quite happy refer them. I think the trade copy is spot on. I mean, it's as good as it can be. I mean, if markets are moving quick, occasionally one won't trigger, and that's purely down to the speed of the market. I mean, it takes a split second, you know, for that one contract, the software to tell, the one account, the software to tell the other accounts to trigger. But obviously, markets move. Great customer service. Yeah, they're okay. Actually, I had a nice conversation with the guy, but they're friendly. But it's nice to get it for free, isn't it? And I'll happily recommend them. I've got no issues with that. As far as I'm concerned, if I think something's good, I'll recommend it. If I think it's naff, I won't. I've had about 3 people contact me to sponsor the channel, and I've looked at all 3 of them, but I've turned them all down because there's nothing that would interest you guys really. One of them was some crypto software. Another one was an indicator for trading view. The trouble is, if I play a 2-minute video on here for something for trading view, half of you guys are going to fall asleep. So it's just, you know, if it's something that'll help some of us, save us money or help improve trading, then then I'll it might interest me. But just check your trades from yesterday. Your first one you took. I had a poor signal bar. Yeah, see what I mean? Sometimes signal bars will look great on one chart. And I'll tell you something else as well. If I've taken a trade here and I've got a great looking bar, and sometimes when I right click and reload my historical data, I did it a few months ago. It was a great looking bar. I right clicked, changed that, and it made my signal bar look crap. And then I didn't notice. And when I posted it on the Facebook group, I got ripped to pieces. People saying, "What the hell did you take that with a shitty signal bar?" So yeah, it is surprising, which is why I took that, because I thought on someone else's chart it's quite likely going to be a little bit more bearish. And after coming back to this top again and trying to push higher, and at least closing below the EMA, then I thought that was as good as a day like today is going to offer us. So yeah, that's the thing about limit orders. Sometimes they move that quick, but I think it's better to get in on a limit order. The good thing about a limit order is you can drop it on. You don't have to put a market order where you put it a tick. You can drop it straight there, and that saves you $12.50 straight away, or makes you $12.50. It just, the chance of then, because it's frustrating. Yeah, look at that. That's bounced off there. Are we going higher or not? They are taking below. Why open now? Let's break. Yeah, you got balls of steel, Harjit. You have. Yeah. See. Are we coming lower here, or are we just back? Because if you look, the last couple of times we've been up there, we've had another go at it before we've come down. Same there. So perhaps we're having another go at the bottoms before we push up. I don't know what's going on. It's definitely hard to trade though. That I wish I should have left that one. If I hadn't have been on the valuation, I'd have left that one because I knew it was a riskier trade. So, but sometimes they'll work. But it looked like a channel, one leg, two-legged correction, and then another channel down. But obviously, we weren't to know it was going to continue to do this. But at the time, I thought that was a good trade. That I thought that was going to shoot down. I did. Second entry short, lovely big bullish bar. But there, I did notice that there were warning signs. The fact that if you look, and I only noticed this a while after, if you look at this area here, it's bouncing off that line, isn't it? So maybe that would have been a warning sign that, hold on a minute, perhaps we're finding a bottom here and perhaps we're going to range. In which case, if I'd have paid attention to that or noticed that, I may not have taken that one. But it may make a difference, it may not. But I certainly think it's something I should have took into consideration. But hey, every time you lose a trade, you take something on board. And I've got no problem with losing trades as long as I didn't randomly jump in and take something stupid. But my opinion was it was a channel down, one, two legs up, nice big bearish bar. For me, it was a taker, but obviously there may have been warning signs, 4 bars there, which have struggled to get below that area. So maybe in that case we may range a bit, but that probably would have been the only signal there. Who knows? Who knows? But at least I got one back anyway, so not too bad. But it's been a tough day today. So if I'd have left that one, I'd have been about even. But there you go. It happens sometimes. Trouble is, another thing I've had to do is forgive myself for taking trades. Sometimes when markets are moving quick and emotions are high, sometimes you get on these trades. Your balance is out a little bit, and you get into a trade, and then later think, why did I do that? But the trouble is, we're not intraday trading here. We don't have half an hour to think about a trade. Should I take this trade for the rest of the day? Our trades are in and out in seconds. And often a bar doesn't develop literally until the last second, and you haven't got a lot of time to think. So I've had to learn to forgive myself because I'm a little bit of a, well, some may say a perfectionist, but I don't put it like that. But I'm a bit of an all or nothing. If I can't get it perfectly right, sometimes I almost self-sabotage it and think, why did I do that? I'm angry with myself. And sometimes I go in with a stupid random self-sabotaging trade as I suppose punishment, really. That's how I've read it described anyway. But I've had to learn to forgive myself because trading isn't black and white. There's a lot of grey area. There's a lot of uncertainty where just pure experience plays a part. Hey Sam, how you doing, buddy? How have you traded today? How have you gone? It's been a bit of a fun day today, isn't it? It's been a bit hard to trade today. That one at the time I thought was a good trade. That one I thought channel, one leg up, two-legged correction, and then another leg. I thought that was leg in leg, but it wasn't to be. There you go. But
I don't feel the pressure so much on evaluations anymore. I feel about as calm as I can feel. So it's clearly changed there. But obviously the PAs are a slightly different level up of stress. But at some point, I'm assuming the stress levels won't affect me. But I am permanently, or till the not so distant future, the 3 PAs I've got coming this week, reducing that down from 2 contracts to a contract, which should half the risk, and it goes without saying it's going to lower the stress levels, and those stress levels that kick off those emotions and make you do funny things. So yeah, so I don't know whether we're coming down to these bottoms or pushing lower. I got no idea. Trouble is, we've got 2 levels going on here. We've got a level down here. There's a level here which is sitting between these. There's some resistance and some support there, and some support there. So we've got 3 levels. We've got this level where it's working off. We've got this level, and we got this level. So you just don't know where to go long from. See that quite likely is a bigger channel. That fits nice. And we got a break, and we have had a new low now. So whether we'll push up or whether we'll continue down, who knows? Sorry if you can hardly hear me. I hadn't realised I'd pushed my mic away to do some typing. Sorry if I've just pulled it closer and deafened you. Did you watch Mac's video? I watched part of it. It was talking about what was he talking about? I can't remember. It was early hours of the morning. If I wake up at night, sometimes I'll watch charts. But so the trouble with Mac, he'll go on about you need to stick to the rules, this, that, and the other. But if you noticed, we had an uptrend about a week ago, and he marked 2 high probability trades, which were both dojis. Anybody remember seeing that? So a lot of trades Mac marks are questionable. Now, the fact that they work is by the by, because you don't know that that's going to happen. So if you remember last week, about a week ago, there was an uptrend, and Mac in this uptrend marked 2 perfect dojis right at the bottom. And I noticed there was a few funny comments going around the Facebook group that he'd done that. But, you know, maybe when you're experienced and you see something happening, then, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe you pull the trigger, who knows? Second trade, if you hag weighted, I like that one. I prefer hag instead of had. Trigger below the bearish bar. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Sometimes, if I'm not sure about a trade, I'll wait there with a limit order and see what it does. And I noticed the Penguin guy does that. Have you noticed? Sometimes when he takes a trade here, he actually takes it down here. If you look on some of his trades, where's the risk to reward thing? If he's taking is that how it works? Is it? I can't remember. I haven't used it for a while. I've got it the wrong way around. Yeah, let's bring that down. I notice he'll do something like that, but he'll move this up to sort of there. And I'm thinking, why is he taking the trade down here? But what I think he's done is waited for it. Have a look, see what you think. But that worked 1-to-1. But sometimes, and I think it's because you'll see what happens there now. If that's going to trigger and stop you out, it'll do it straight away, won't it? It'll trigger down here and then go up and stop you out. And at least then you've got chance, rather than waiting for it to tick below and dropping a limit order in. So if I'm unsure about something, sometimes I'll do that. But have a look. And you'll see him do that sometimes. Sometimes where he takes the trade is quite a bit lower than you would imagine it to be. See, it's a bit stuck down here now, isn't it? It's supporting it, but it's also sitting underneath it there. So I got no idea. No, he doesn't live stream, but he is original creator of this system of trading. I actually think he's a good trader. He's a very good technical trader. Yeah, you are right. I know, but he looks at the big... Yeah, that's what I mean. He's a good trader, I think. I look at his trades at the end of every day. He's quite an experienced trader. That's what he comes over as. Now, obviously, you know, marking trades after the fact is one thing, but he does mark his losses as well, which I like. That, to me, gives some credibility to a trader when they mark their losses, because no one's perfect, and no matter how good a trader you are going to lose from time to time. You are going to misjudge something or misread something or lose focus or you know, slip on the button or whatever you're going to do. He's a very good... Yeah, he is a good trader. And you need to be a good trader to be able to read the market well enough to go for 2 to 1 and things like that. But yeah, I mean, if I can be as good a trader as him one day, then I'll be quite happy about that. But I do like the fact that sometimes you'll give trades a chance to work, because if you're taking a downtrend and you know the bottoms are here, there's no real harm in giving that a tick or two to maybe work, or maybe have another bar down to here. And if it presents with another bearish bar, then at least you know it's starting to work. Then what may happen is then you'll get a little bit of a pullback where you can maybe jump in on a limit order. But I think it's useful sometimes to give trades chance to work. Having said that, if I'd have given that a chance to work, as soon as it starts going sideways, I'd never have taken the trade, but it worked. So, as I say, trading is not black and white. There's a lot of grey area. You know, learning the setups is the easy bit. Putting those setups in the correct context is the real tough bit. You know, we can all be taught what a second entry is and what a failure is, but obviously you can't just randomly jump in on a downtrend and take a second entry long, you know. So adding it to the correct context is the real skill. But yeah, it's definitely a real complex job to read these markets accurately. You know, there's a combination of having the patience, having the discipline, being able to read it, and you know, it's all right if you don't know what's going on. It doesn't mean you're a bad chart reader, but if you don't know what's going on and you know, things are confusing, it's a good reason to sit out. You know, you're not doing nothing wrong by sitting out of a trade. And so what if you miss a trade? You know, it's much better, I think, to miss a trade than to take a loss, because if you take a loss, first thing you've got to do then for the next hour is try and find one just to get your money back. So, you know, it's not easy and it does take time, but, you know, it's common sense. The more time you spend sat in front of these bars day in, day out, you'll just start to know the areas to stay out of. You know, you'll know trades that are going to work because we're studying human behavior here. And if you spent enough time in the bottom of a barrel with another 10 traders, sooner or later you're going to know, you're going to be all thinking along the same lines. But obviously there's areas like this where you don't know whether it's going to go up or come down, but who knows? Yeah, easy to say. Taking the trades at key entry point, finding those key entry points live on it. Yeah. It's not easy. It's not easy. But, you know, we get days, like Brant said earlier, some days just aren't meant to be traded. Or maybe you say, okay, it's going sideways, I've got to be extra cautious. Maybe let's look for one trade, or maybe let's reduce our risk or reduce our contract size, or maybe let's just go for a scalp or two or a couple of points. You know what I mean? But yeah, there we go. So, hey guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. So I'm down 225 for the day, but that's fine. I'm all right. They bother me less and less, the evaluations now. They don't stress me like they used to. 12 months ago, it was like walking a tightrope across a crocodile pit. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but it doesn't affect me anymore. So it's not been a terrible day. I don't mind days like this because they give you vital lessons that you need to learn. Because no 2 days are alike. Sometimes you'll get nice. I think yesterday was a pretty straightforward day. There was 2 nice setups. I took them and they both won. So, you know, you take a couple of setups and you win them both. It feels like an easy day. If you have some losses and that, it seems like a tough day. But I think on days like this, they're a lot harder to read and a lot more unpredictable. So I think your setups need to be extra good, I think. But there you go. So it is what it is. So don't forget, guys, we've got that 80% off Apex back on as from today, as on now, for the rest of the month. 80% off evaluations plus any reoccurring. And also, if anybody doesn't know, they've reduced the amount you can withdraw now. It used to be $1,000. You can now take out $500, which I think is useful. If you want to get something out of it, maybe to buy some more evals or build your accounts or for whatever reason. And also, when you take an evaluation now, over the next month, they've got a competition on where they're giving bunches of PAs or accounts away and so on and so forth. But they are giving away, which would be nice to win, 10 100,000 PA accounts to one person. So all paid as well for a lifetime. So that would be nice. Do you review your day as in bar by bar? I don't, mate, because reviewing it bar by bar after the fact is pretty straightforward, because I see some traders doing it and they say, no, I wouldn't take that one because of this, but because they know what the outcome is. But I don't. But, you know, anybody who wants to watch this stream after, all they can do is flick to the end, work out where I took the trades time, and they can do it. But no, I don't tend to do it. There's enough people doing that, really. But after the fact, it's pretty easy showing bar by bar, really. But there's I know Mac does it, and people like Thomas Wade does it, and I know on Fridays Marco does it on Fridays. If you don't watch Marco, watch him, because he's very robotic, and I think that's a good quality for a trader. He doesn't seem to get phased. He's very calm, and he's it's either a good setup or it's not. So if you don't watch him, and he does a bar by bar on Fridays when Mac doesn't. So there you go. I don't know, maybe it's just something I'll do in the future, I don't know, bar by bar, but I think there's enough people doing it, and they just tell you what we all sort of know at the end of the day anyway. We know what the market happened, we know where it went. Have a good one, lads. Yeah, you too, mate. I will watch Max. Yeah, sometimes he puts it on early, but it's usually around about the midnight to 1 in the morning UK time. So sometimes if I wake up, I'll watch him. And I put it on for a bit, but I was half dozing my phone, so I wasn't paying much attention. But I will have a look. So, you know, bit of a tricky day today, but it is what it is. It wasn't a brilliant day. A bit hard to read, but this just says when it's doing this, you've got to be extra cautious and maybe sit most of it out, or certainly wait for something a little bit more obvious. That one I thought was okay. That one, yeah, something I wouldn't have normally taken on a PA account, but I don't know. Trend channel, 1 leg, 2 leg correction. I thought that was coming down, but there you go. It is what it is. So Marco, yeah. You'll see Marco on the, if you join their price action Facebook group, he's one of the, is he the admin or moderators or something like that. I think he's German, actually. He's got a German accent, but I think he's US based. But he's very black and white. He's very robotic, and I think if you can do that in trading, it's quite clear whether it's something he's interested in or something he's not. There's no grey area with him, which I think it's good if you can trade like that. He strikes me as the type of person that doesn't have a lot of emotions when he's trading. So if you don't watch him, I'd watch him. He always posts his chart at the end of the day on the Facebook group, and he does a bar by bar on a Friday. But there are a bunch of people out there anyway. So there you go. So that's it for today. So 2 losses and 1 win. But I go live on a PA tomorrow and a couple more throughout the week. But I'll be dropping down to 1 contract and being a little bit more cautious, no taking riskier trades like that. But there you go. There you go. So that's it, folks. I appreciate all your comments. And it's nice to mix with a bunch of like-minded lunatics who like punishment. So there you go. So I'll be here tomorrow, same time, just before the market opens. So stay safe, have a great evening, and I will. Not sure we can what? Can someone send a link for Mac's video? Just go onto YouTube and type price action. I'll tell you what, I'll show you. I'll get his video up quickly. There we There it is. There it is there. Yeah. So just type Pat's Trading and you can see that one there just below the top one. Yeah, I did watch a bit of it, you can see. I watched a little tiny bit of it 17 hours ago for yesterday, but that's his channel. And he posts Monday to Thursday. And Marco now does the Thursday. So it's just Pat's Trading, and you'll see him. He's got videos going back 13 years, I think. He's got 2.2 thousand videos, so you can't say he's not committed. It takes a lot of effort to do that every day. So there you go. Typically range day, not up, not down. We had that initial push down, but it's doing nothing bar typically going sideways, I think, pretty much as it did yesterday. We had that initial push down. But yeah, you're welcome, Sam. Anytime, mate. Hello, yeah, mental lunatics. You've got to be a little bit mentally deranged to be a trader, haven't you? You've got to like punishment. But yeah, typical range day. But a little bit of a tough one. It is when the top's constantly in different places. It makes it a lot harder. If everything finished at the right place, it would make it a lot easier. But there you go. So that's it for today. So if you're carrying on trading, good luck. And I will see you all tomorrow, and we will do it all again.